Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. It's Politics Day at the Common Good Podcast. I'm Dan. This is Doug and Rob, and it's good to be with you. We're off the road for a minute before we hit it real hard until November 5th. But how are things going in Minneapolis and Arkansas?
Well, it's a short minute being off the road, and I've got a real case of the yawnies this morning. You ever get that where you just, you're a little tired, but all of a sudden you're just like coming in there. I sometimes, on the YouTube's little bit, it'll pull just some screenshot. If it's me in half yawn, trying to keep my mouth quiet or keep my mouth shut. But it's going to be a beautiful day in Minneapolis. Fall is really good in September. I mean, we're full into fall in Minneapolis in September, and it's just going to be one of those great days. Yesterday, 72, sunny. Today, a little overcast, but the sun's going to come through, and it's going to be 75 and then 80 tomorrow. Just so lovely. And so, when you think Minneapolis, you think the best weather in the country.
Do you?
Number.
Not sure. Not sure that's what I think. Yeah. It is here somewhere outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas. It is really lovely as well. Heat has finally broken. It's in the low 70s. It feels like fall. We had like fake fall like a week or two ago where it got cool, and then this last week it got hot again.
Yeah.
We are feeling good, and it's birthday season here in Arkansas. I don't know if you know this, but Friday was my last child turned 10, and today my eldest child turns 25, which is just crazy. I've been a father for 25 years, quarter century. Wow. So yeah,
quarter century. Congratulations.
It's birthday. I mean, I did very little work to make any of that happen.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my own birthday. Just that's where I started taking credit for things women did.
That's amazing.
My first birthday party.
Hey, speaking of which, that reminds me. Did you see the new Lincoln Project ad?
No.
Sam Elliott narrating.
I thought that was not real.
No, it was real.
Because I thought Sam Elliott died. Is that a different actor that died?
No, I don't think he's dead. Yeah, but it ends with the idea of like, be a man. It's time to vote for a woman.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, really like leaning into that like muscular, rugged masculinity.
Yes, love it.
Needs to be secure enough to vote for Kamala Harris. Yeah, really good ad. Really, really good ad. Excellent. Almost texted it to you guys, but listen, we got some stuff to talk about. I mean, since we have last been here, and I mean, we have a pretty steady text stream. We have a couple of different text streams. One of them has to do with business and work, with our work with Vote Common Good. One of them and they include various people. The one with just the three of us is pretty much our daily Wordle results, which today, let me tell you, I'm a morning Wordle person, and you both are evening Wordle persons. Today, Wordle angered me.
I saw that, and so that made me get started. But I'm 3 guesses in, and still.
Yeah.
Was it not a real word? Like, is it a
word? It
was
a real word. I was angry that I didn't think of it. And I was angry that I had that classic like thing down the sides with the end with the center. It just, So, anyways, we're in a variety of text threads. We've got one that is mostly political memes and that kind of thing. I don't think in any of our text threads did we have a conversation, a reaction to, oh my goodness, can you believe this is happening? To the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
I heard no ears were harmed, and I thought maybe this isn't a big deal. Did I underplay it?
I mean, a man has been arrested who had a manifesto about how he wanted to kill Donald Trump. He was arrested after hiding
at the golf course. Yeah.
At the golf course where Donald Trump is known to golf.
Yeah.
And, like shocking
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
nearly.
Service.
I
Did it
saw the news. I was sitting on the back porch. Maybe it was Saturday. I don't even know when it was.
Yeah.
I saw the news. I think I was watching some college football. Vanessa was maybe working in the garage, and I did not even get up and go tell Vanessa, hey, like they just arrested a man. There's shots fired around Donald Trump again. It's just
Yeah.
like what in the world?
Well, I think in this case, because the man didn't shoot any shots, Secret Service shot at the man.
Yes.
And so it was, and Donald Trump wasn't on the hole yet. So no gun was pointed at. So I'm not saying the man's did not intend to assassinate the president, former president. He did. The court filings yesterday have a piece of paper from him that he had written, described from a few months ago, describing what he was attempting to do, and then offering a bounty for other people who could fulfill that purpose, which makes no sense. But he was trying to kill or harm the president. There's no doubt. But I think the fact that it was stopped before any of that happened is one of the things that makes people be like, okay, well, the Secret Service did its job. And maybe it was a little closer than we would want. But, Donald Trump needs to drop out of the race and stop putting the American people through this. He just needs to put America first and stop making all of us worry about this, being the person who people who supported his candidacy and voted for him in 2016 want him dead. This is just a real sign that he's got to get out of the race. He's making it unsafe for everybody. It's time for Donald Trump to drop out.
And it's just wild the level to which we've been desensitized to it. Like, this is the second time. Now it's like it was barely news for a day and a half,
Yep.
Normalized. Donald Trump has normalized assassination attempts.
And what's frustrating to me is I am all for bringing down the rhetoric. I even get comfortable with some of the slogans about fighting. It's clearly metaphor. When we fight, we win. It's not talking about fist fights. It's talking about policies and voting. Yeah. But even that language, I'm like, let's just take a break from even that. Yep. Let's talk about
revolution language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies.
Yeah, enemies. These people on the other side of the political spectrum are not our enemies. They're our neighbors, and we need to cut that out. But the people that use the most vitriolic language, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, are now trying to come out and say, well, Trump isn't even trying to say it, but J.D. Vance is trying to say, hey, we need to tone things down. I forget if I... Yeah, J.D. Vance is saying, let's cut this language, especially we shouldn't say that our political opponents are fascists. And I don't know if you guys saw this super cut someone put together. J.D. Vance saying exactly that. We should stop calling our political opponents fascists. And then a cut of Donald Trump calling everyone fascist, communists. Just long string of insults and inflammatory stuff. So it's like, one side is willing to do the work. The other seems...
And I am not wanting to downplay this at all. It's a big deal. But let's also recognize America has had a long history of people using terroristic violence to accomplish its political means internally in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of those have been undertaken by the most right-wing extreme groups. You can think more modern times of the attack on the U.S. Capitol, or Waco, Texas, or Ruby Ridge, or Waco, or Timothy McVeigh. Like there's many a time where political violence has been the choice. The FBI says that the number one threat in the United States is from right-wing extremist groups. That's the group. So this is a long part of our country. There's been assassinations and attempts. I've been surprised that we didn't hear much about that during the Obama years. We didn't hear much about it during Trump's presidency, and hardly anything during Biden's presidency. And I don't know if this is just a tack that Secret Service has, that when they're vetting out people who they know are a threat to any sitting elected official, but especially the president, that they're not talking about it. But it's kind of gone away for us, where, the period of time that feels more similar to this in the mid 1960s in the United States, it was a much more common kind of experience for Americans to know that, gunfire was going to be used. And after all of that, whether it's Gabby Giffords being shot or congressional members at a baseball practice being shot or Donald Trump being shot, people still don't want to do anything about the guns. And I saw one representative that said, in order to protect Donald Trump, I want to pass the Protect Donald Trump Act and have all assault rifles confiscated, which I thought was a trolly way to move forward, because this man is too precious to the American experience and we have to protect him.
Yeah, I am becoming increasingly more convinced, concerned, persuaded by the idea that something is afoot here with these shootings on Donald Trump. Listen to Doug. I know you listened to, I don't know if Dan, if you did listen to the really interesting podcast by Soledad O'Brien and Robb Reiner about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And, one part of that, one aspect of that played a big part in the story is the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald was groomed to do what he did, not by himself. And kind of that realization of when he said, I'm not a patsy, I'm just a patsy. I almost want Richard Nixon there. I'm not a crook. But when he said, I'm a patsy, he was telling the truth. He really was. He had been groomed. There were other people involved. And because of his background, his psychology, places that he had been, he had been manipulated and set up to play the role that he played in the assassination of President Kennedy. When I think about that, and I think about the kid in Butler, Pennsylvania, and this guy in Florida, I just have this sense that these are people who their psychological profile, the things that they care about, the things that they're doing, I just have this sense that they are Lee Harvey Oswald-esque in that I think they've been manipulated. I think they've been groomed. I don't think they are lone wolves. And I'm not saying it's all staged, though that wouldn't surprise. Listen, have you seen this great show Chimp Crazy on HBO on Max?
Mm-mm.
No.
Did you watch Tiger King?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, Doug, you missed out. So this is
what did you even do during the pandemic?
I just can't make entertainment out of mentally ill people's struggles.
Yeah. So Chimp Crazy is a new docuseries on Max. I think it's 4 episodes. It's by the guy who made Tiger King. It's about, as you might guess from the name, about people who keep chimpanzees. And
there we go.
And it's about. I mean, one of the things that I noticed is that it seemed like it was almost exclusively women who keep chimpanzees, and basically from one of the things that I learned, and there were several things that I learned, or just kind of had confirmed about the realities of life. Chimpanzees super cute, as babies, and really fun, and then they grow up and they're they're fun actors and they interact with people and you can have them in movies and blah 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 and all that, and then they get older and they get I think maybe we all have gotten increasingly so, they become kind of grouchy old men,
and they rip your face,
and they rip your face off. Yes.
Yeah.
The story is told of a chimpanzee in Connecticut that literally ripped a woman's face off.
Yeah.
So the main character in this story, has a violent encounter with the chimpanzee as well, and it ripped part of her ear off.
Hmm.
And
Hit the
I see where
teleprompter.
you're going here.
and you know what? Her ripped off ear ripped off. Didn't heal. Didn't miraculously regenerate. Like, didn't have like a bandage on it for a week and then like, oh, okay, everything's fine now.
Did she have a little My Pillow on there though? That could have done the trick. Maybe that's.
I'm just
or whatever it was that
all
Trump was
I'm saying is I saw a legitimate ear injury,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't look like a normal ear.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying all this stuff is staged. I'm saying I'm becoming increasingly suspicious. So the next time later, like we have in the past, when we start to, have a few drinks on the bus when we're traveling around the country, none of us driving, of course, and we begin to talk about conspiracy theories, which I think we did once. What Donald Trump didn't get shot.
Oh.
And this could be the new conspiracy theory that we all agree on.
Your idea is that the Trump people are behind this to try to make him look like people are trying to harm him, and they're setting up people who, like a guy was shot to death to
yes,
make it. That's the idea here.
Yes,
I think
it's not the deep state. It's not the quote unquote deep state coming after Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's own people.
It's Donald Trump's own people. I think I'm going to stick for now just with mentally imbalanced people that have been told that they can get their hands on a weapon and they want to assassinate people. I'm just going to stick with that
you're
one.
Go all Occam's razor on me here.
Sometimes the likely thing.
Is the thing. Yeah, because look, the Secret Service would not tolerate any of this. They would have anyway.
They let him stand up. They let him stand up and raise his fist in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And he's going back to Butler. Did you see this?
Yeah, he's going back to Butler.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant, by the way. I think it's politically speaking.
A couple weeks ago, a guy was arrested, had his hearing yesterday. They're still trying to figure out what to charge him with and what to keep him on. So that's all underway. This guy's never going to, he's not going to be free for a very long time. And he'll probably be put in a care facility of some kind, like other people that have attempted assassination attempts on the president. Because as much as, violence is so typical and gun violence is so common in the United States and political gun violence, you still are a little out of your mind when you decide to lay in bushes for 15 hours in order to assassinate a presidential candidate and a former president of the United States. So I think this guy's going away, and
what?
Likely will not hear too much. I was surprised they released his letter that he had written and shared that in public records, because that's the kind of thing that could fuel other people that typically don't do that kind of thing. And I've been proud of the Harris campaign. I thought they handled it well. They want to bring an end to violence. They want to stop it. And they also don't want to let this become the thing that everyone's talking about, because Donald Trump is changing none of his behavior around this. He's speaking horrible things. He just yesterday said that the Haitian community that's in Springfield, Ohio, we have to get them the hell out because they're ruining the heritage of these towns. These people are in the country legally. These are legal members of the United States of America, even though they're not yet full citizens. Mm-hmm. They're allowed to be here. They have all the protections and the rights of everyone else. And Donald Trump is saying they need to get the hell out. And then the crowd in Indiana, Pennsylvania, very confusing town name, starts chanting, send them back, send them back. It's outrageous.
Well, did you hear J.D. Vance responding to this? A reporter said, most of these Haitians are here legally. They applied for this parole system. We put these visas in place. and there's a certain number each month, etc. It's a legal process. And he says, J.D. Vance says, well, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden didn't actually have the right to do it, so it's an illegal parole system.
Yes.
And so they are here illegally because I say that shouldn't be the law. It's just this insane, like, that's not how laws work.
That's
not how visas work.
That's right.
But they're just saying, no, we're right in saying that they're here illegally because we think they should be illegal.
Because, look, here's the thing, and I know my Trump friends push back on this all the time. To that MAGA crowd, there is not a distinction between the legal status in the country and illegal status. They don't want them here.
Mm-hmm.
The entire argument up until the point where they say legal or illegal is saying that they're ruining America, they're polluting the bloodstream of America, they're destroying these towns that can never find their heritage again. Like, this is the stuff Donald Trump said yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we're going to put up one of our billboards in the states. We're putting up billboards, the His Words Matter billboard, and it's going to say on the one side with Jesus saying, I was a stranger and you welcomed me in, and Donald Trump saying they need to get the hell out. And yesterday, like, he is in the last 40 days before a campaign rallying up a group of people in Pennsylvania to get them to chant, send them back. And this is not about, we just need a legal process, and what about the people that are coming in, and what about the drugs? Nothing to do with it. This is targeting a group of tens of thousands of people and saying, get them out of our country. Because according to Donald Trump, they come from one of the places he referred to as shithole countries.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't seem to know where they actually come from, because in one speech he said we need to send these Haitians back to Venezuela from whence they came. Like, he doesn't know.
But here's the point that he's making. So I had to learn this when we were down on the border, because I'm like, how in the world are Haitians getting to the Texas border?
Yeah.
Many people had to leave Haiti after that bad earthquake in 2010. They went to Venezuela. Venezuela started to collapse and their lives became in jeopardy in Venezuela. So then they had to make their way from South America back up to the border of the U.S. and Mexico. That's where so what Trump was referring to was they should go back to the place that first let them in to care for them, as if Venezuela is doing the right thing in caring for these asylum seekers because of what's going on in Haiti after the earthquake and the military and political coups going on there. So Venezuela, Donald Trump, is the place where they know how to take care of these people, but not the United States.
Yeah.
His fundamental argument, send them back to Venezuela, which is utterly confusing, because I promise you, most people who are going to vote for Donald Trump in the election have no idea how the Haitian asylum seekers got to the United States. They don't have any idea. Or how long they've been away from their home country, or that they're people without a land now, or all this. They have no idea.
Yeah.
So they're confused. And then Donald Trump basically is saying, well, Venezuela should take care of them. It's just amazing that he thinks Venezuela is the kind of country that should care for these, not the United States of America. The man just fundamentally doesn't understand America. Mm-hmm. Did you see when he walked in that restaurant, was talking to the workers?
No.
And he said to him, how's work going here? Hey, we need, and he ordered a bunch of stuff. We need 42 things of this, and we need a bunch of these things. And we're going to take care of these people's bills in line here. We're going to do it. And then he looked at the workers and he said, how's it doing? Are y'all making a lot of money? His question to workers at a fast food restaurant, are you making a lot of money? Okay, first of all, in the Bidenomics economy, they're not supposed to be making any money or have any jobs. He looks at people working in a fast food restaurant, and his question for them is not, how's your life? How's your family? How's your experience in America? How's your hope? It's, are you making a lot of money when you're probably making $7 to $12 or $15 an hour? And a bankrupt billionaire comes in and says, how are you all doing? You making a lot of money? The idea that his fundamental question for Americans is, are you making a lot of money? And then the nutball yesterday said, Zelensky, greatest salesman in the world. Every time he comes into America, he leaves with $60 billion. Again, as if it's the president of Ukraine's personal money.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to fund a military against Russia. And Trump is like, he comes in America and he just comes out with $60 million, says to fast food workers, are you making a lot? The guy is out of his mind, and it takes you back to that old adage picked up in the scriptures. The love of money is the root of all evil. And this guy's brain is just evil wormed with the love of money. It's just utterly nonsense. And any good person who cares about teaching your kids would say, don't act like that.
Yeah.
And yet, I think he's the greatest businessman in the world.
Other utter nonsense that's spewing from Donald Trump. Yesterday, he spoke to a group of farmers in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And the whole backdrop, I think it was Smithtown, Pennsylvania, a couple of, big John Deere tractors in the back with, his blue signs and a flag and, the whole thing. And he's actually sitting at a table talking to them in some kind of forum, which, by the way, if you haven't seen his crypto forum, you got to check that out too. Hilarious. So he's talking to these farmers and he mentions that John Deere is having some parts made in Mexico, and declares that. And here's the quote: "I'm notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything you want to sell into the United States. So that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200% tariff." Okay.
Free markets, though, right? That's
okay. Let's. Rob. Yeah. So, and I have two things I want to say about this. First of all, is what Donald Trump has just told farmers in Pennsylvania is that the price of John Deere tractors is about to go up by 200%.
Yeah.
What happens is, listen, Doug, you were talking about fast food workers. What's the argument against raising the minimum wage?
It's going to make things too expensive for the owners of the restaurants if their employee costs go up.
Yeah. And what will happen? They will pass it on to the consumer. And so if we don't want to pay a worker $15 an hour to work at McDonald's because we don't want a $87 cheeseburger like they have in Europe. This is the ridiculousness you hear because the price gets passed on, the cost gets passed on to the consumer.
Yes.
The same thing works. This is how tariffs work as well. If you raise the tariff 200% on John Deere product, if they move their production to Mexico, then it's going to be passed on to the consumer.
Or it's gonna put them out of business, right? Because they wouldn't be, the consumers couldn't pay it, and that would be the end of it. So he's threatening a company that he will put them out of business. Yes. John Deere.
That's John
Deere
of
the heartland.
While he's talking
John
to farmers.
Deere. Listen, if we were to sit down and say, okay, let's make a list of the 10 quintessentially American brands.
Yes.
Anheuser-Busch, Levi's, Coca-Cola, Apple. John Deere might make the list.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
With the right group of people. Yeah. Ford.
What's wild is anytime the Biden administration incentivizes solar energy or wants to make computer chips in America instead of abroad, Republicans get up in arms about this. But then when Trump says something ridiculous like this, he's not picking winners and losers. He's not going against the free market. He's somehow a shrewd businessman making deals.
But, and this is the thing that makes my head want to explode. You guys remember NAFTA?
I just wrote down on my little piece of paper right there.
Yeah.
NAFTA.
NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, was an agreement between the countries of North America. For those of you who might not know, Canada, the United States, Mexico. NAFTA. People have had all sorts of different opinions about it. Donald Trump campaigned against NAFTA, and in January of 2022, he signed into law a replacement agreement to NAFTA. NAFTA is no longer the agreement that is in place between the three countries of North America. It has been replaced by what's called USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada, very cleverly named. I just want to read you a sentence. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, signed by Trump in January 2020, a replacement for the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, prohibits the leverage of tariffs on a range of goods, allowing companies to manufacture in Mexico and Canada and export back to the U.S. without high costs. Donald Trump is threatening John Deere with a 200% tariff if they produce their tractors, then the parts for their tractors in Mexico. The law he signed into place prohibits that very thing.
Trump versus Trump.
Trump versus Trump.
This man is, my goodness.
Moronic.
He makes me insane. He is so disingenuous, so dumb.
Yes.
Okay.
It seems like maybe he just learned about tariffs. And it seems like maybe a fifth grade
stuck on the word like he is asylum.
Like asylum. He's just throwing tariffs at every argument because it sounds cool. It literally doesn't make sense. It will not help the consumer in America. It won't help most. This is an American business that he's threatening to damage personally.
But he can't because he
already prevented himself from doing it.
Law that prevents him from doing the very thing he's threatening to do.
And this is the fundamental problem with taking a business mindset and applying it to government, because competitors in business, they're up for this kind of stuff all the time. If you can get your competitor to have to pay a higher tax rate to bring their product that they've created in a country outside the United States into the United States, they think it levels the playing field if they're going to create it in the United States, right? This is the idea behind tariffs. If you're going to try to save a bunch of money by using employees in Mexico or Bangladesh or Vietnam, you're going to pay more money to import that product into the United States to make it more level so the United States can compete, right? This is the general idea of a tariff. They have to be used extremely precisely to have any kind of benefit that anyone wants. But a business person, that's all they think about is one side of the equation. The reason that there's the USMCA or NAFTA before was because there's a whole lot of other interests that aren't simply what is your business competing against another business going to do? And this is Donald Trump's fundamental flaw. He only sees the world through one lens, which I think is just part of what disqualifies him to be the executive of the executive branch. It's like in a company taking your mid-level marketing person and asking them to be in charge of the entire company, including payroll and human services and human relations. What's it called in businesses? Human
resources.
Human resources.
People are just resources.
Let's talk about the resources we have, including the humans. Where do we keep the humans in the resource? Are they in the closet, the resource closet? But if you ask that mid-manager to be in charge of that, and they only apply the tools of their trade when they were the mid-level manager, Donald Trump's business has never been anything other than a branding business. That's it. That's all he's ever produced. Slapped his little name onto all kinds of products. That's it. They don't do anything. They don't run anything. There's no storage locker. There's no product. There's no service. There's nothing. He treats everything in the United States as if it's a branding project. And he thinks he's competing, that the United States' fundamental way to compete against every other nation, especially the ones we have a significant trade imbalance with, is through some kind of a marketing shtick. It's just so useless as a president. And this is why it comes back to this stuff all the time. And he talks about tariffs because he's like, well, that'll make them look bad if they're having to pay a higher tariff. No, it's not going to make them look bad. They're just going to raise the price. That's what they're going to do. And it's an American company, and you're actually hurting the American company. You're not hurting Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico, the country doesn't pay the tariff. The business pays the tariff if they produce the product in the country. Doesn't care.
Unless it's produced in Canada or Mexico.
Per Donald Trump signed.
Well, I do think there are tariffs. Like I think the MCCA or NAFTA in the old days didn't mean you couldn't have any tariffs. I think it was a normalizing thing in some exceptions. Isn't that right?
Yes. And I think it's actually a 75% reduction in tariffs.
Yeah. So I think what Trump is saying is he's going to push to get this. He's going to use exceptional powers to punish an American company. Think about that for a minute, Mr. Free Trade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which on one hand, you do have to incentivize or disincentivize companies like we're trying to do with chips. We think it's a security risk and an economic risk to produce all of the chips in the world in one country that is, on the verge of being taken over by China. Yep. And so we're like, we should make more computer chips here in America. And so you have to create incentives and disincentives. But this whole 200% tariff on an American company is not doing what you want to do is just insane.
An American company whose products are literally sitting right behind you as a backdrop for your event.
And somehow he thinks he's protecting American work. He thinks they're going to love this because then we're going to say we want to have this drive shaft part not created 15 miles south of the border in a factory that's built and set up for it. We're going to have it built in the United States. John Deere knows what it's doing, where it's going to build its products. It builds them in Germany. It builds them in dozens of other countries, half a dozen other countries. They know what they're doing. They know how they're making products and how they're moving around and what the flow of that's going to be. In fact, when those trucks come driving into the United States from Mexico with car parts and truck parts and tractor parts in them, those are the things we should take a look at, because that's also how drug traffickers and human traffickers get their drugs and human resources into the country, is in those trucks. Donald Trump said he would not spend more money on looking into those trucks. So it's a constant misunderstanding about how an American business works, partially because Donald Trump doesn't listen to anyone. And his business is not a real business. It's a branding exercise. And as a branding exercise, he has no idea. The employees that he has had tend to be accountants and lawyers, at least a few of whom are currently or have been in federal prison for the work they've done for him. He runs a small family-based marketing company in which people commit crimes.
Many
Donald
crimes.
Trump he's not good at picking employees. He's also not good at picking candidates that he endorses.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
You like that transition?
Perfect.
You like it? You like that? You like it?
Played.
Yeah.
Well played.
The lieutenant governor of North Carolina is running for governor of North Carolina.
Yeah.
He's a man named Mark Robinson. He is a favorite of the MAGA crowd because he's a large, outspoken black man who, defies the stereotype in a lot of ways, and so gets a lot of prominence, and rightfully so. No criticism of that. He's made some headlines for some controversial things that he said,
and where he said them.
No. Well, no. I mean previously. Oh. I mean, this is the guy that's talked in churches about shooting liberals and that kind of thing. He's yeah. This guy's problematic from way back. News broke. It was a CNN story. Most of the chatter on used to be Twitter was that this was not opposition research that came out from Democrats leaked to CNN, but rather this was opposition research leaked by Republicans about their own nominee for governor in hopes of getting him to drop out right before the deadline for dropping out, which came and went, I think, on Friday.
Okay.
The accusations, which are just clear as day. So that Mark Robinson, who previously had been, it had been brought forward that he was a regular at an adult video store in North Carolina, and staff there recognized him from that. Spent time on a number of websites, including a pornographic website which had some kind of message board or chat function. He had an account there where in the first name box he wrote Mark, and in the last name box he wrote Robinson. That would be his name. Used an email address that is publicly associated with him and known to be his. Used a username. Do you have a go-to username, like the anonymous username?
Ryerse.
I have a username that I often use in various places when I need a username, for something that I don't want, it to be Ryerse. He used his, I think it's some kind of mini soldier.
Okay.
Missing some letters, I think, in the soldier part. Is his username. They use across a variety of websites, very easily confirmable that this is his account.
It was him. Mm-hmm.
It was him. CNN reported that from this account, Mark Robinson, the Trump-endorsed lieutenant governor of North Carolina, running for governor of North Carolina, the Republican nominee, referred to himself as a black Nazi.
Yes.
Talked about his.
I don't even know what it could mean. What do you think someone means when they refer to themselves as a black Nazi? What is that a thing?
He goes on to tell you.
Yeah, he talks about how. Yeah, he talks about how he would like slavery to be reinstituted because he would want to purchase some slaves himself.
With Bitcoin?
He also and this is a guy, railing against woke culture, railing against, what he would call men playing women's sports and all of the same cultural stuff that we see over and over and over again, targeting some of the most vulnerable people amongst us, just layering oppression upon oppression with cruelty. He talks about how, he refers to himself as a perv who likes pornography created by transgender people.
Yeah, he's kink. How come all the woke people now can attack him for being so kink? That's what he's squawking about. Don't come down on me for being kinky. It's simply remarkable. And the guy Donald Trump said was Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. I don't know if he knows how steroids work or what he's exactly referring to, but perhaps he thought he started out normal and then his brain went to mush because of the steroids. Could be a great critique. I think he did not mean it as a critique.
CNN also said that there were the vast majority of posts from Mark Robinson's account on this pornographic website, which, by the way, is called Nude Africa. They couldn't print them. They couldn't because they were so
vile,
so crass, so obscene. They couldn't print them. His account was also found on Ashley Madison, the account for or the website that I don't know if it still exists or not, for people that want to cheat on their wives. Mark Robinson has dug his heels in. Did not drop out of the race. He's in it.
He said it's not him. That's his argument. His argument is, I didn't write those things. His argument isn't you didn't understand me or I made a mistake or something. It's I didn't do it. It's simply incredible. Because he did.
It reminds me a little bit of the sketch where a hot dog truck runs into a building and then everyone's standing around. Who did this? Where's the driver? And then the guy wearing the hot dog costume is like, I don't know. We got to find him though.
That's great. Yeah, and JD Vance,
the guy named Mark Robinson.
Do you believe Mark Robinson when he said it wasn't him? And JD Vance was like, I don't believe him, and I don't not believe him. I just think these things come out, in the end, and it's up to him to decide if he's going to be in the race or not. He will say Kamala Harris should not be president of the United States. He will say, I should be vice president of the United States. He will not say whether he thinks Mark Robinson should be the governor of North Carolina. He's just like, well, he has to decide. I don't know what to believe. How could you ever know? Like, oh, you seem to know a lot about it, a whole lot of other things. Shall we talk Haitians? Shall we talk about things that you are certain about that did not happen, but you wanted to speak of them a certain the just incredible level to which Republicans are taking the page from Donald Trump, which is attack, admit nothing, and claim victory when you lose. These three rules of, Donald Trump's mentor are alive and well across the Republican situation. Just attack and never admit anything. Mm-hmm. Don't even have the gall to say, look, if Mark Robinson wrote those things, JD Vance can't even say that. But if it's any Democrat, if it's, a Democrat simply wanting to go work at the public library and sort the books, he will be like, those pedophiles have no business being near our children's books. It's just wildly crazy, right? Mm-hmm. That a guy who really is into pornography and kink, he says, it's not up to me to decide, it's up to him. Somebody who just wants to read books to kids or work in a library are a bunch of pervs that have no business. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've just here was going to be my point of this podcast. The Republicans have completely lost the storyline since Kamala Harris came on.
Yeah,
there's nothing left. They're just reeling around. We've spent an hour just talking about they're crazy because that's all they've got. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, other Democrats are out there telling a story about America. And I've been utterly shocked, especially this last week, driving through parts of Michigan and Wisconsin, how many Harris Walz signs we've seen. Mm-hmm. And they're not even publicly available from the campaigns yet. These are all people just getting them however they get them, like we did. And how few Trump signs there are, who've been in full bore since, 2016 with a warehouse full of Trump signs. It's incredible. So there is something afoot. I still think it's going to come down to 20,000 people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, those states. But the tides have clearly turned that one has enthusiasm, Harris Walls, and has a storyline, and Republicans have completely lost their grip on whatever's going on.
Because there's no plan on the Republican side, on the Trump side. There's what was it Trump said in the debate? Concepts of plans.
Concepts of plans.
Yeah. Concept of
But
a
I
plan.
had some drywall delivered today, and chatting with the guys, dropping it off, and they started going on a little rant about prices and this and that, and talked about, when Biden got into office, gas was $5 a gallon. I can't believe what Biden did. And I was like, yeah, now it's down to like $3. I paid under $3 a gallon the other day. Like, all the arguments against Biden, and thereby Harris are dissipating. Like, the economy is great. The stock market is
not the economy.
It's not the economy, but it's people are happy about the stock market.
Continually deceiving people and making millionaires out of people who don't work.
I spent some time yesterday talking with some guys who, they were like, their argument against Kamala Harris was, but nobody voted for her.
Wow.
I'm just like, okay. One guy kept saying, progressives are real upset that it was just like a coronation and no one actually chose her. And I said to him, listen, I'm a progressive who talks a lot with Democrats around the country. Nobody's upset that Kamala Harris is the nominee.
No.
That's a talking point from months ago that, like, it was all they had. It was shocking to me. But let me just say this, as a person who wants Kamala Harris to win, 50 states, including North Carolina, Mark Robinson. I just want to say Mark Robinson, Trump endorsed Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina. Stay the course, man.
Do not let them bring you down.
Don't let them.
Push you out
for things you said clearly that were you.
Listen,
don't let them Joe Biden you, man.
That's right. You just stay true. You keep your mini soldier thing going.
Yep.
You say whatever you want.
You strap on whatever you need to strap on to keep running in this race, my man. You just
take off the filter and just say it all.
Have it all. Yeah. That's what people love about you. That's what they love about you.
Bring like your straight wink talk express.
Okay, here's another thing. Donald Trump likely will win the state of North Carolina. Mark Robinson could win the governorship in North Carolina. And if anyone wants to just dig back through the election results from the start of time, with the exception of 2008, the one time the presidential election didn't go for a Republican in modern history. This is not going to turn over North Carolina. Do you think? Do you guys think North Carolina is a real option? I think it's Texas, Florida of 2020.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll mark the date, the 24th. We can somebody jot that down, the end of the podcast, pull it out, and mock me ruthlessly on the 5th of November when it comes back. Trump won the state by 4 percentage points. Because honest to goodness, they cannot seem to figure it out in North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, coming out as a black Nazi can't help things, but doesn't seem to. I mean,
I don't know. Somehow
he's taken a page out of Trump's playbook. Like, just
Trump won North Carolina twice.
Just say crazy things and then move on. And
how close was it? How close was I was about to ask Siri? How close was it in 2020, North Carolina? Was it 4 points or something?
don't
Hey
know.
Siri, what was Donald Trump's margin of victory in North Carolina in 2020?
Okay, I found this on the web. For what was Donald Trump's margin of victory
So
in North
useless.
Carolina in 2020? Check it out.
Yeah,
Check it out.
check it out online. Republicans have carried North Carolina in 11 of the last 13 presidential elections. Democrat Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama in 76 and 2008. He won it by a point and a half in 2020.
Wow.
2,758,775 tallied votes for Donald J. Trump when he was the incumbent. 2,685,000. So the margin was 1.6%, and it was some number of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, so 41 days.
What do you guys think? Are you going all JD Vance on me here? Are you just like, I don't know, it could go either way?
Somebody's going to win North Carolina.
My prediction is someone's going to
Could
win.
be a tie.
I'm terrible at predictions. So,
Don't let that stop.
I want to believe that something's happening, and there's a shift taking place.
What it is ain't exactly clear.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, something's happening here.
Okay. All right. Well, look, if North Carolina is in play,
Donald Trump can't win.
then we're going to be okay.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to behave as if it is not in play.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh yeah, we
what
need
are
to
these
behave
other-
like it's not in play. 100%.
What's our blue wall looking like currently? How's Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania? What are we feeling
Polls out of Wisconsin don't look great.
Nope. And depending on the polls out of Michigan, doesn't look great. I'm telling you, it's insane that the argument still has to be made and mobilization has to happen. Now, if the Biden team that was putting together a great ground game is going to pay off, if Kamala Harris's very smart campaign they've been running so far and her electric personality and attractive countenance can pull over some voters that wouldn't otherwise have been in there, and then her policy positions and her way of being is attractive, maybe the polls are underplaying. But the snapshot in time had Joe Biden up by way more votes in way higher percentage in those states at this point in 2020, and he squeaked them out by tens of thousands in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and by roughly 100,000 in Michigan. So it's But then again, the enthusiasm is up. The signs are out. You know, there seems to be something afoot. But that's why, I mean, this idea that I hear people literally talking about Florida, North Carolina, Texas.
Yeah, this can't become another Hillary Clinton situation where they just give up and decide to coast in the swing states instead of doing in the work.
Yeah, and Irma makes a good point. Hi to all the people in the chat, by the way. We are watching these. Not everybody takes part in polls. Yes, that's true, but they factor all that in. And you're not, again, as we've said, polls do not tell you about future behavior. They barely tell you about present day behavior. They tell you the answer people give to certain questions. That's what they tell you, right? Even if they ask you, would you vote or who do you approve of? Doesn't mean someone would actually do that on this day when it really came down to it. But it does give them an answer to the questions. And when they compare those answers to previous times where people answer those questions, and they do have behavior models that come out of that, that's what they're doing. They're comparing the responses from people and how similar or dissimilar they are to the behaviors. And they're having to predict. And predicting future human behavior is extraordinarily difficult. It's why we have elections. The old joke is there's one poll that matters, and that's the poll on election day. Like, that's the one where you actually poll people at a polling place. And you find out who's a likely voter and who's a for sure voter and all the rest of it. And that's what's caused Donald Trump to win in 2016 against the odds. And it's what caused him to be so much closer in 2020 is more people who the models did not think would turn out to vote did. And less people that models said would turn out to vote in 2016 did not. So where are we on this? We don't know. But if the only thing you've got is polling and then personal experience looks to me like in the little places we're running around, far less enthusiasm for Trump and a whole lot for Kamala Harris. But is that just people being loud and encouraged, or is that more people?
Yeah.
I mean, we people who said I didn't vote last time, or I voted for Trump just this week in Wisconsin, but I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. So, we know people. Haven't yet met 20,000 of them to make sure that number gets out of reach for Trump, but it's a real thing.
Yeah. But this is why the work continues. And if people want to join us, we're going to check out votecommongood.com. We're going to be in Kansas City later this week, and then Nashville, the Atlanta area. We're going to be moving through Texas, and New Mexico, and Arizona, California, Omaha, Nebraska, heading up to Minneapolis. So we're going to be all over.
Michigan, back to Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
Back to Georgia. Yeah. Traveling around. So keep up. Get out there with us. Some people have wondered, why do we go to those places? Well, sometimes we're supporting congressional candidates where it matters. And sometimes we're doing events on the places we're passing through. And it also matters. So not all of it's going to be tied only into the Electoral College. But on the other hand, a psychographic change is what we're looking for, not just a demographic change. So trying to change the mindset of people who fit into a certain group.
Thanks to everyone in the chat, and to Bonnie in Grand Rapids. Hey, how's it going? Glad to see you last week in Grand Rapids. We'll be back again. And all the other listeners.
Peggy, Alex, Irma. Good to see you being active in here, Irma.
Yabbits was around for a while.
Yeah, and then Yabbits is like, I got to go. I got stuff to do.
I mean, I thought that halfway through this, but I'm stuck.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, but,
Yeah, when I was screaming about NAFTA.
No, it's fine.
Don't even get me started about NAFTA.
I mean, if a man can't scream about NAFTA, what kind of world are we living in? All right. Well, farewell, y'all, and we'll see you. We'll see you down there. Now, the podcast is going to be real hit and miss from here on out. Tell you the truth, I know that's hard. We'll try to get some from the bus, but man, it's tough when you're making your way in the world today. It takes everything you got, and we're out there doing what we can and making
to get to places where everyone knows your name.
That's all we're doing. Just want them to know our names.
But we'll see you on the road. The live stream we'll still be posting a lot of stuff from the road with all three of us, and so you'll still be seeing us.
Yeah, I know you podcast listeners, in ears only, the in ears crowd. You're gonna have to gaze your eyes on us. I think we'll pop in and out, but November 5th will be here before you know it, and we I don't know, maybe we do a live stream podcast from the Hampton Inn in Washington D.C. on election day before the results come in.
There we go.
Yeah,
that would be must-watch television done on a podcast.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you.